Hi everyone, I'm Lisa and welcome to the Stamp Studio. As we get closer to Christmas, you're going to need those last minute gift ideas, and sometimes the hardest people to buy for are those that are on your list that seem to have everything. So what better gift idea than to give them pictures? This little booklet was inspired by my friend Tina Weller. She created hers a little bit differently than this one, and hers held recipes, which is a great family tradition. But I made mine to hold photographs. I've also simplified the process so that you can make a bunch of them really fast. Come on over to the craft table and I'll show you how to make it. I'm going to start by using some of the stars from the Bright and Beautiful stamp set. I've pulled out one of the smaller stars and the tiny one and the words joy. I'm beginning with a piece of cherry cobbler cardstock. This is cut 5 by 8.5 inches, and just before the video I scored it at the 1-inch mark from one end. You're also going to need a piece of early espresso cardstock. This measures 5 inches by 7 inch. And I use Versamark ink. So Versamark, and I am going to cover my cardstock with different stamped stars all over to create a wallpaper pattern. Now the large stars are done, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to fill in with some of the smaller ones, still using the Versamark ink. So now we have our cover. Next comes the piece of designer series paper, and this is cut 2 inches by 6.5 inch. Now I'm going to take my scissors, I'm going to make a banner tip. So I'm going to slice up the center, and then from the tip here to the top of my slit, I am going to cut it on a V to make the banner tip. In the same stamp set, I took out the word joy, and this is a scrap piece of white cardstock and the cherry cobbler ink just to coordinate with my projects. And I'm going to stamp the word joy right on top of that little piece of paper, and I'm going to create the same banner tip. I have 5 clear envelopes. Now these are well hidden gems in the Stampin' Up! Catalog. Now you can use more of these inside your booklet. I'm just using 5 for the sake of the video. They have a piece of paper on the back that hides the sticky part. So I'm going to pull that off. Now you're going to notice the opening now is on the top. So the sticky is here, and I'm going to layer these one on top of the other, all 5 of them. So that's 2. So pulling this off. Again, making sure that the opening is on the top. And I'm going to do that with all 5. So they've all been stacked. Now this is the last piece of paper I'm going to take off. And this time I'm going to put them face down. So the sticky edge is going to be down. Remember that 1-inch seam that we created where we scored? That's where these are going to go. And I'm going to press. Okay, the cover that we stamped is going to go inside like this. And our designer series paper can either be butted up against it or it can be stuck down inside. Now to attach all of this, I used the new mini stapler. But I want to show you something that I did I think you're going to get a kick out of. Now, the stapler does not come with a staple, so you're going to want to make sure that you buy those separately, and they're inexpensive. I took the staples and I took the medium cherry cobbler blendability. And then I colored my staples. Because this is an alcohol-based marker, it'll dry very, very quickly, and it'll be permanent on those staples so that it's going to correspond with our project. The staples go down inside. You can see I've got some in there. This comes down. I love this little handheld stapler. I'm just going to make sure that everything is put together nice and neat. Now, you can go ahead and add the designer series paper next if you'd like. Okay, so that's going to go here. Now, you're going to want to staple fairly thin because you want to make sure that you grab those envelopes when you're stapling. So I'm going to put my first one about here and my second one about here. We're going to use the Big Shot for this project, and you're going to use the magnetic platform first. So I'm going to start with one clear mat. This is a piece of gold foil paper, which I absolutely love, and this is the fancy gold vellum. I'm using my star framelits, and remember they cut on the inside, so this is a great way for you to maximize your paper. So I'm going to start with one of them near the top and one of them here at the bottom. So I'm going to have 2 different sizes. Put my clear mat on top, and then I'm going to crank these through. All right, so we have our one large star, and we have ours that's a little bit smaller. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to texturize that gold star. So I'm going to put it in my Stylish Stripes embossing folder, going back to my Big Shot, and this time I'm going to emboss that gold paper. Look how pretty that turned out. So my intention now is to layer these. Now with vellum, I have found that there isn't a perfect adhesive that doesn't show anything. So I'm very careful to put my adhesive where you're not going to see it. So I'm using one of my Neutrals buttons, and I chose one that's in the brown tone so that it'll kind of coordinate with my project. Glue dot on the back, and I'm going to put that in the middle of my fancy vellum. Then I'm going to use another glue dot on the back of this button, so you're not going to be able to see it, and mount that here. Now I'm going to use some dimensionals, and I'm going to put some dimensionals on the back of my star, and I'm going to use one on each point just so that it's well balanced. I'm going to put my star here on the front of my booklet. Next, I have my banner. Now I'm going to use a glue dot as well. That's going to go underneath here. I then cut 8 inches of 2 different baker's twine. I have the gold and I have the cherry cobbler. And I'm going to use them together to tie them in a bow. And a glue dot on my bow, and this is going to go on here. I'm going to recommend you take your bone folder and write along here that you're going to score this. That'll make the book cover easier to open and close. Also, keep in mind the pockets are in the back now so that you don't have to worry about the photographs falling out. Just a quick and simple photograph or recipe card holder, as my friend Tina Weller did. And I look forward to seeing you next week.